The Standard Minimum Rules for the Treatment of Prisoners, revised in 2015 and now known as the Nelson Mandela Rules, represent the most authoritative United Nations instrument governing the treatment of persons deprived of liberty. While not a treaty, the rules articulate internationally accepted norms and provide a detailed framework that guides national prison legislation, administrative policies, and judicial interpretation across legal systems. Their importance lies not only in setting minimum human rights protections in carceral environments, but also in affirming that the deprivation of liberty must never entail the loss of fundamental human dignity, ditu, legal nature, and normative status. Although the Mandela Rules are not binding in a formal treaty sense, their normative influence is substantial. They have been endorsed unanimously by the UN General Assembly, integrated into regional human rights systems, and widely cited by domestic courts as persuasive authority. Their character is that of soft law, non-binding yet carrying strong moral and interpretative weight. Soft law instruments of this nature often function as precursors or interpretative guides to binding human rights obligations. For example, the rules reflect and operationalize principles inherent in the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, ICCPR, particularly Article 10, which requires humane treatment of persons deprived of liberty. Courts and oversight bodies frequently refer to the Mandela Rules when determining whether prison conditions amount to degrading treatment under international or constitutional norms. Thus, while non-binding, the rules have achieved a quasi-customary status in many jurisdictions, influencing legislative reform, shaping standards for national monitoring bodies, and serving as benchmarks for international inspections under mechanisms like the Optional Protocol to the Convention Against Torture, OPCAT. Three core principles underlying the rules. The Mandela Rules are structured around several interrelated principles that reflect modern penological philosophy and human rights law. 1. Respect for inherent human dignity. The rules reject any notion that imprisonment diminishes a person's basic rights. Only freedom of movement is lawfully restricted. All other rights, including physical integrity, health care, and access to due process, must remain intact. This principle forms the interpretative foundation of the entire instrument. 2. Prohibition of torture and ill treatment. The rules codify a strict prohibition of torture and cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment. Any form of punishment involving pain, humiliation, or sensory deprivation is prohibited. Solitary confinement, for example, is allowed only under restricted, monitored, and time-limited conditions. 3. Legality, accountability, and transparency. The rules emphasize that prison administration must operate under clear laws and be accountable to independent oversight mechanisms. Internal discipline, medical interventions, searches, and disciplinary sanctions must be regulated, documented, and reviewable. 4. Rehabilitation and social reintegration. Modern corrections philosophy has shifted from retribution to reintegration. The rules support this by mandating educational activities, vocational training, contact with the outside world, and preparation for return to society. Rehabilitation is not secondary but integral to lawful imprisonment.